on how to tell your story.
So it was the recruiting era for me when I started becoming like the Navy SEALs needed more blacks in the SEAL teams. And that's what people don't understand. Why did you become a recruiter in the SEAL teams? I was one of the few black guys, and I'd already done Badwater. So I got a little bit, small bit of notoriety for doing Badwater. And so the Navy SEALs were like, oh my God, we could use this guy to try to get the 1% of the African Americans in Navy SEALs up to maybe 2%. And so I hit the road and started doing that. But I also I'm not a big guy on social media. So I was actually happy to kind of pull away from it. I'm just not big on that stuff. Even today, I'm just not a big fan of it, man. I'm a big introvert. I get a lot of my strength from being introverted. And going out there and doing what I do is all this is very difficult for me, man. All of it.
Yeah, it's funny when you say you're introverted because you're so good, when it comes to sharing your story, and it's so compelling. And, there's a lot of people out there like they're quote unquote like influencers or whatever who would be like, wow, like this guy's got, what do you have, like 600,000 plus on Instagram or something like that. Yeah. And for somebody you're averse to it, you don't like it, you hate it, you only post once in a while, you don't really advertise what you're doing at all, but you've grown this huge following of people who are super interested in what you're doing.
Well, I think it's important to do things you don't like, and I was very ashamed of my life story for a long time. I didn't want to go out and tell anybody shit about me. So that's why I had two people. I had created one David Goggins and one Goggins. Right. And I didn't want people to know that I had all these issues. But after a while, people start to give you these different taglines. Like, you're superhuman, you're amazing. I'm like, you fuckers don't know anything about me, man. I'm this insecure kid. And I started realizing there's a lot of people out here who are going through a lot of problems that I once tapped into. I had a whole bunch of issues growing up. And, I felt compelled to just, mm-hmm. You got to start sharing this stuff, man, because people see where you're at today. They see where you're at today. They see the man you are today, this rock hard human being. Show these people where you come from. Right. Show these people it's possible.
It's funny when you're reading the book, like once you get into the later chapters, like 6, 7, or 8, all the way to the end, you start to forget chapters 1 and 2.
That's right.
And you start thinking this guy is a superhuman, and then you got to remind yourself, like, oh man, look where he came from.
Right. I actually do that in the audiobook. In the audiobook, while Adam's reading, we have a moment where we stop because we're like 6 or 7, 6, 7, 8, where I start doing all these crazy feats and mm-hmm. start going way beyond human limits for myself. And I tell people, while you're hearing this, I know you guys have already forgotten about how I came up. Don't forget the torture I endured mentally and physically in my own mind, going through all this shit. So don't ever forget that. So people forget that so quickly when they get to that 7, 8, 9, 10 chapters. So it's quick.
We should just mention the audiobook. I mean, the book is amazing, but the audiobook is next level. And part of that is because you guys kind of broke the paradigm here. Right. You made this somewhat risky decision to have Adam read most of the book, and we can get into the reasons behind that, which I think are well considered. But then after each chapter, you and Adam break it down podcast style, like informally, where you just freestyle on what that chapter was all about. And that just brings it to life in like this technicolor way, which makes it just such a compelling experience.
Well, everything I do, I try to do my very best. And now that I'm out here trying to share this story with people, I want to be so real and so fucking authentic to the point where it was embarrassing to me. Mm-hmm. As I was writing some stuff and I was giving it to Adam and we were going back and forth, I'm like, man, I was talking to my fiance, do I really want people to fucking know this about me?
But that's the power, man.
And that's the
strength
power
that you have to summon to be that vulnerable, because that's how people are going to be able to emotionally connect.
Exactly.
When they look at what you've done in Badwater and all the buds and all that kind of stuff, it becomes difficult for people to relate to that. But when you have the strength and the fortitude to share those parts of your life that do embarrass you or provoke shame in you, that's the real shit.
I had to show people I was human. People didn't think I was human. Mm-hmm. They thought I came from outer space, man, from some spacecraft and shit, and landed down here and just formed Goggins from the rocks and the soul of the earth. No, that's not how it is, man. So I said, I'm gonna share a secret with you all.